So I am Reverend Sarah Asher, and I am the Executive Director of the International Council of Unitarians and Universalists. And I, along with the Reverend Roger Birchhausen, the Executive Director of the UU Partner Church Council, and Reverend Eric Cherry, who is the Director of the International Office of the UUA, have come together and represent the International Joint Working Group, where all three of our organizations work together to serve and spread the news of our international Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist faith. And we welcome you to the second of the theological panel dialogues celebrating the Year of Religious Freedom in honor of the 450th anniversary of the Edict of Torda. Over 4 centuries ago, the Unitarian Transylvanian king, John Sigismund, declared that an individual and a congregation had the right to believe as they each saw fit and good. So in this year of 2018, that marks this 450th anniversary of this Declaration of Religious Freedom, we remember that core foundation of our faith, and we do so by inviting 5 theologians from around the globe representing our Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist communities to discuss and reflect and share with all of you their thoughts on the core issues and questions that are facing our faith in the 21st century. So because we want to make sure that we have as much time with their incredible wisdom and thoughts as possible, we will not be doing a question and answer session with those of you who are in the room, and instead we're leaving the time for them to discuss with one another. But we would actually invite each of you and encourage each of you to actually engage this material yourselves via the Torda450 website, Torda450.org. That would actually has reflection modules that you can bring to for your own personal reflection, as well as to your congregations or faith communities that you attend, or a small group of friends you want to sit and have coffee with and talk about theology. So those are all on the website. So before we get started with the 2 keynotes, we've asked to focus in on the question before us today, which I will tell you in a minute. Let me introduce the 5. So one of us is joining via, you can't see him at the moment, but via Zoom. So but we'll start with Rupiah Lamar, who is a lay leader in the Unitarian Union of Northeast India. And then we have Stephanie Mitchum, who is professor at the University of South Carolina, and Ellen Nugroho, who is a co-founder of the Unitarian Christian Church of Indonesia. Fulgence Ndjimana is the minister to the Burundian Unitarian Church in Burundi, East Africa, and is an affiliate minister to the Saskatoon congregation in Canada, where he now lives. And there he is on the screen. And Norbert Ratz, who is the senior minister of the First Unitarian Church in Koleshvar, Transylvania. They will be addressing the question today, that is, what is your religious, theological imperative, foundational theological thought, your foundational moral, your foundational faith commitment that is linked to the actions of social justice? So we invite Rupiah Lamar to offer his thoughts first, and then Ellen will follow, and then our 3 remaining will offer a 5-minute reflection and response to the 2, and we will go from there. So I welcome Rupiah to the stage.
Hello, good afternoon, my brothers and sisters. I am Rupiah Lamar, and I come from the northeastern part of India, belonging to the Unitarian Church Joy of Jaintia Hills, where the Unitarian Church was founded by Hajam Kishore Singh, who was the person who belonged to the indigenous tribe of that time in 1887. So I thank the organization of the Torda450 Dialogue, the organizers, Eric, Cherry, Sarah, and Roger, for without them, I won't be able to visit New York or to present this. So thank you very much. So my presentation will be based on theme which they have given, freedom and resistance. And for me, it is the commitment is the strength. This occasion of celebrating Torda450 has helped me to see the similarity of the beginning of the growth of Unitarianism in the two different places and times. Francis David, in his sermon delivered in 1569, said, "Bread is to nourish and strengthen our body. Likewise, the teachings of Jesus is bread to nourish our soul." Hajam Singh, the founder of the Unitarian Church in the Khasi and Jaintia Hills of northeastern India, stated in his diary that I will follow the religion as taught by Jesus and not about Jesus. Both the events of how the power structure of Western interest would resist the march of freedom. Then, when some Protestants opposed prayers to the saints and the Virgin Mary, Francis David went ahead to oppose prayers in the name of Jesus. For he said that the Bible shows that God alone should be worshipped, should be the object of worship. For proclaiming the full humanity of Jesus, a trial was ordered, and Francis David was placed in prison and died in November 1579. What is significant about the celebration is that David believed in the freedom of religion even when he had the power to be intolerant. In one of his sermons, he made a statement that the Unitarian Universalists still repeat today: "You need not think alike to love alike." The land that I come from, as well, has a similar story. Hajam Singh, an indigenous tribe at the age of 15, was converted by the missionaries in the 1880s. He questioned certain aspects of the Calvinistic faith. He felt that and declared that the message of election, damnation, and salvation was incompatible with the teachings of Jesus, as he read it for himself in the Gospels. The message based on fear was not the one which would redeem his people. He said that what the British did away with the Khasis' fear of demons, they substitute with the fear of hell. The missionaries were incensed, and but for the modern time and another place, they would have said, "Die, heretic." A church was burned down. The founder's house was stoned, and Unitarian Christmas celebrations was pelted with stones. This event was the precursor for the Khasi Jaintia Unitarians not celebrating Christmas and Easter up to date. The foundational theological commitment of Khasi Unitarianism is based on the two Khasi principles: no man, no God, like in Khasi, eat you brew, eat you play. And the other one is earn righteousness. And hence, our Unitarian faith is also named as Kanyam eat you brew, eat you play, which means the religion of love to man and love to God. Thus, it is a religion stressing on the here and now. By loving or serving our fellow men, we also love God, because man is made in his own image. God, as a mother and father, means love. If we are not able to love those whom we see and interact, how can we love God, which is abstract? The motto of the Khasi Unitarianism is To Nang Roy, which means keep on progressing, or in other words, it will be better evermore. Hence, it is the responsibility of a Unitarian to fight for the social justice. But since we are numerically small, many a times we ourselves have become victims of discrimination. The Presbyterian Synod is a huge event that takes place in the Khasi Hills, and it is a fact that this event receives regular state funding. Since we are a minority religion, in fact we are not even recognized as a minority in our own country, we cannot avail of any financial or social capital. This does tend to put us at a disadvantage in many fields. We have had experiences of a child being denied admission because of being Unitarian, of a scholar being questioned on her proposed research proposal based on the study of Unitarian movement, as it was taken to be as an insignificant and primarily because it is anti-Christian. But as our faith commitment is to earn righteousness, to love man, and salvation is through good character and good deeds, issues of education, rural health and development, and environment are of great concern for us. Education was the instrument of conversion to Christianity by the missionaries. Mary Lawrence, in her book Kuble, which means thank you and God bless you, said that the missionaries set up schools to receive instruction in the 4 R's, the fourth being zealously taught Christian religion. It was in the liberal spirit of Unitarianism that the Joy Church opened up a Unitarian free school in August 1893 under a woman teacher, which did not include any form of religious instructions. Today, we have more than 40 schools to spread the light of knowledge, and in some places, the church building served as schools. Joy Church has undertaken projects for the social and economic upliftment under the aegis of the Society for Urban Rural Empowerment, SURE. This is led by Reverend H.H. Mortimer, who also, through his newspaper's columns, has expressed concern on the multitude of social, political, and environmental issues. With high mortality rate among the children and young mothers, the church has undertaken health camps from time to time in different villages. Being a matrilineal society, special attention is taken to improve the lot of women. There is an established women's league called Senkantay, whose job is to visit the sick, counsel the young, and bereaved. In sum, a lot of pastoral care is done by the women. The Khasi philosophy of nature, environment, sacred groves, and reverence for rivers, spirits, and deities have greatly enriched us in viewing the present issues of environmental degradation. Jaintia Hills is considered as nature's own land. An ancient indigenous developed agriculture had made in a granary of the region with exquisite variety of turmeric, brown rice, and oranges. But as Gandhi said, the world has got enough for everyone's need, but not for every man's greed. A new occupation in recent years, in the form of coal and limestone mining, have brought considerable damage to the environment and has widened the divide between the rich and the poor. As a learned citizen and concerned Unitarian, I myself was instrumental in the formation of the Jaintia Tourism and Environment Society to spread awareness and to call and mobilize people to see the potentiality of tourism as a sustainable industry as against mining. We have been organizing festivals in the form of Discover Jaintia and other events like Explore Jaintia for awakening the Jaintia society of evils, to evils of environmental degradation and the beauty of their own land. As a developing country, India has one of the best democratic constitutions. But the reality is that many are still living in the past without understanding the essence of democracy as rights and rule of law. As a graduate in political science and law, I have been privileged to have taught at the only law college in my district, and I'm also a member of the Society for the Study of Law. Through my understanding of law, I have from time to time in my own small way been able to serve the cause of social justice and democratic values within and outside my faith. Spreading of non-sectarian education and scientific temper in the midst of many superstitious beliefs nevertheless is a big challenge. Belief that some possess Torda, which is a form of witchcraft, still continues, which is not only against our own principles, but affect the relationship amongst ourselves, weakening our community and belief system. Recently, we have our state general election, where the influence of money was profoundly seen and felt. It is observed that it has affected even some of us who claim to be the salt of the earth or the torch bearers. It is said that the slogan, "Go with the flow," has gotten better of the principle to earn righteousness. However, in the midst of these challenges and failures, and despite being a minority, I am happy to say that we have been able to make a mark. We have been at the forefront of social justice campaign, both for the society as a whole, and making the Unitarians in the Khasi and Jaintia Hills to be a significant minority. I am glad to say that the 18th September, the foundation day of our church, has been acknowledged by the state of Meghalaya to be a public holiday for the Khasi and Jaintia Hills district. All human beings are brothers and sisters, and hence, one must serve and love the here and now in order to make the world a better place. The message is not regarded by the majority in belief that this world is a terminus where the ultimate destination is heaven. People are not willing to listen to the good news because they are so used and intoxicated by the thought that for all that they do on earth will be condoned if one accepts Jesus as Savior. But for a Unitarian who stands on the principle of Torda450, we are in a position to see the world with hope that good times is still to come. It is important to note that Hajam Iswar Singh, our founder, did not include salvation in the 1888 statement of beliefs, as we do not believe in the original sin. Our foundational belief is that we have never fallen from grace. We are a religion not of the fallen, but alive. We are a religion that do not talk of death, but of love and life. We are not concerned about the salvation, and we have no need of a Savior. With this new mantra, non-acceptance by others will soon be reversed, and the best of times are to come. Torda450. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello and good afternoon to everyone here. My name is Ellen Groho. I'm one of the co-founders of the Unitarian Christian Church of Indonesia. I have represented the history and basic identity about my congregation in Nepal, Kathmandu, so I won't repeat it again right now. I'm going straight to the question that presented to us about what is our foundational, theological, or moral commitment we really unabashedly proclaim that our foundation is based on Bible. And for a biblical mind, one foundational belief is that this world is not ours. We didn't create this world. There is a creator to whom we owe anything that we have. So our properties, our money, our knowledge, even our lives are not ours, actually. So this is a very different position than the existentialist mind, like what theologian said. His name is Heschel. I have not brought my being into being, nor was I thrown into being. My being is obeying the saying, let there be. So to be is to obey the commandment of creation. It means that we exist not as a result of our will to exist. In the beginning, there is no neutral being and then values. We are born in value. So we are endowed with meaning. Philosophically, it means that the ought precedes the is. Therefore, living is about obedience and commitment to the order of the Creator. One of the foundational commitments a biblical person must accept from the Creator is the sanctity of human life. Men and women are made in the image of God. Each person then is exceedingly precious and intrinsically sacred. So this sacred is not based on rational arguments. So you can argue and argue. It doesn't change the intrinsically sacredness of human life. So it's different from saying that the sanctity is self-evident. It's not self-evident because what is self-evident is precarious to imperfect human reasoning. Even humanists can say that human is not equal. Like Voltaire, the great humanist, he said that it is a serious question among them whether the Africans are descended from monkeys or whether the monkeys come from them. Our wise men have said that man was created in the image of God. Now here's a lovely image of the divine maker, a flat and black nose with little or hardly any intelligence. That is Voltaire, the great humanist. So this sacredness is not based on arguments like that. Even though human reason cannot grasp it, we still stubbornly believe and defend that all human lives are equally sacred and should be equally respected and protected. It's just like when we as parents, we believe in our kids. We are dogmatistic about it. So we believe each of our kids is a precious jewel with enormous gifts to brand the world. Even though things may not always look as what we believe, sometimes even look quite the opposite. But we still believe. We dismiss evidence to the contrary of outlier data yet to be explained. Even though people say we are wrong, absurd, and harmful, we still believe that the value of each individual is greater than the value of the entire society composed of those individuals. We believe that each life is worth living, no matter what the struggle, just as the biosphere in which we live is worth saving, no matter what the cost. We believe that the world has one creator, and that he is good, that life is good, and that his intent in creating this place is good. So we are fanatic about that. We believe first as Even when the reality before our eyes flies in the face of what we believe, we continue as doubly as before, until we get the facts to confirm what we believe. So from this standpoint, resistance is just a part of it. It's an integral part of that. Resistance is the spirit of all biblical prophets. So unlike Greek philosophers who busied themselves in the realm of the sublime, the prophets were scandalized in an area of trivialities. Instead of dealing with timeless issues of being and becoming, of matter and form, of definitions and demonstrations, the prophets continuously shook society's comfort zone by reminding them to care for widows and orphans, to be disgusted by the corruption of judges and affairs of the marketplace. They were infuriated by things that even now are daily occurrences considered normal all over the world. What if there are businessmen who cheat in their business? It's considered normal, but it's a catastrophe in the eyes, in the perspective of God, as said by the prophet. Like, what if a refugee family with 2 little children must live unsheltered on the street because the detention house is in overcapacity? We ourselves witness continually acts of injustice, manifestations of hypocrisy, falsehood, outrage, misery, but we rarely grow indignant or overly excited. To the prophets, even a minor injustice assumes cosmic proportions, and they rebuked harshly and relentlessly. What is the fountain from which such courageous resistance bursts forth? It is their deep sensitivity to evil. While the world is at peace and asleep, the prophets hear the blast from heaven. For nothing that has bearing upon good and evil is small or trial in the eyes of God. Compared to the prophets, our standards are modest. Our sense of injustice timid, our moral indignation short-lived. Although our eyes witness the same callousness and cruelty of man, we may choose to stay in indifference. So, like Heschel once again said, few are guilty, all are responsible. Now, one thing, to go down to the reality. To believe in the sacredness of life is one thing, to translate it into real actions is another. As far as I observe, most Christian churches in my country express this dogma through charity, various charitable works. They provide social services to the poor and the marginalized, like food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, and so on. Charity is nice, necessary, and morally desirable. But is charity enough? If you have this established policy where refugees are not distinguished from perpetrators of immigration crimes, and both should stay at the same jail-like detention center with no sufficient facilities for women and children, like in my country, is it enough to deliver food daily there and hope that they will survive decently? Yet I see that too many Christian churches in my country exclusively use this charity approach and shy away from any commitment to effect change at the institutional, systemic level. And because most of our members in Indonesia come from those churches, I see the same reluctance or ignorance. It may be out of the secular beliefs or minority mentality, because in my country, Christianity is the minority. away from anything political. For politics is dirty, politics is dangerous. Revenge is in God's hands. Self-organized resistance is not our portion. I cannot disagree more with this point of view. So this is my personal stance, not my church stance. My church is still working on it. As a Unitarian who upholds conscience and commits life to a pursuit of all-encompassing truth, I agree wholeheartedly with Mohandas Gandhi's stance. This is the quote. To see the universal and all-pervading spirit of truth face to face, one must be able to love the meanest of creation as oneself. And a man who aspires after that cannot afford to keep out of any field of life. That is why my devotion to truth has drawn me into the field of politics. And I can say without the slightest hesitation, and yet in all humility, that those who say that religion has nothing to do with politics do not know what religion is. I hold the belief that a religious person should go beyond charity and strive so that loving kindness and social justice are established into supporting legal, political, social, cultural, and educational systems. Like Martin Luther King Jr. said, it may be true that the law cannot make a man love me, but it can keep him from lynching me. And I think that's really important. The last part here, I also want to give my observation and also my judgment about the resistance itself. There is one more point. However important and social activism is as a part of our religious commitment, social activism is not the religion itself. Resistance can become very materialistic. Usually, it uses some Marxist philosophy, leaving no space for the spirit. Social activists may become very busy trying to change the things outside ourselves, outside themselves. Replacing the president, refining the policies, changing others' minds, campaigning, and so on and so on. Without realizing that evil may be inside us too. The classical philosophers agree that of all creation, the unstable creature man most needed transformation. Man is helpless to change things for the better, to improve on nature, so long as he himself remains unchanged. The classic novel Animal Farm by George Orwell is a good satire about how religion and rebellion against evil oppression may just replace it with the worst one, as long as selfish desires remain unchecked. I view social activism more as a spiritual discipline, so it's not separated. Social activism, as any other spiritual discipline, is hard. It demands sacrifice, to the point of you may lose your life because of it. But it ennobles you. Its goal is to surpass oneself and to live more in accordance with God's will. Like in Micah 6 verse 8 says, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. From my experience and observation, I know that it's easy to lose spiritual awareness amidst the war of interests. Facing hatred triggers reciprocal hatred in us. Facing demonic enemies elicits same damning urges. We may struggle for power and then get corrupted by the power when we eventually attain it. I've seen so many social activists who forget to keep their integrity, to restrain their lusts, to nurture their wisdom and loving kindness, to keep their words and attitude humble. That's not what I believe resistance should be. Social justice should not be separated from kindness and righteousness. Worship and prayers should be practiced along our activism because they are not incompatible to each other. Quoting Heschel again, prayer is meaningless unless it is subversive, unless it seeks to overthrow and to ruin the pyramids of callousness, hatred, opportunism, falsehoods. The liturgical movement must become a revolutionary movement, seeking to overthrow the forces that continue to destroy the promise, the hope, the vision. In the final analysis, God must become greater and we become less. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. And now we will have our three other theologians each do a brief response to those keynotes. And we will begin with Fulgence Njima.
Everyone, my name is Ndagijimana Fulgence, and I'm talking to you from Saskatoon, Canada. I want to respond to the two people who just spoke, Ellen and Rupaya. And I will speak from the perspective of my African theology, and specifically from the Ubuntu philosophy. And I am Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the essence of being human. The Southern African philosophy is built on the principle that I am because other people are. In the words of the Archbishop Desmond Tutu, we literally need other people, other human beings, in order to be human. In the spirit of Ubuntu, joy and sadness are shared. Failure and achievement are shared. And at a fundamental level, Ubuntu reminds us that we are all connected. When one human being is diminished, we are all diminished. When one human being is tortured, we are all tortured. And one of us, when he or she is denied the opportunity to attain his full potential, we all are denied our potential. We do not feel threatened by what other people do, especially if it's good. We need to develop a sense of security together. We need to fight the rampant and destructive plague of individualism and the false promise of a happy life alone, the insensitive competition, and the selfish unilateral decision-making habits. I can see a connection or a parallel between Unitarian Universalist theology and Ubuntu principles, especially connectedness, solidarity, and the moral call to love and to care for our neighbors and treat them with kindness, compassion, and respect. Ellen talked about the relationship between politics and church or religion, and how all of us are encouraged to be involved at different levels and in different ways. She's right to call on us to do what is necessary to make sure that our decision-making processes are both transparent and inclusive. Our resource distribution is fair and equitable, and really that our society is organized in such a way that it works for everyone. Politics is the art of doing just that. And at its best, it allows us all to be able to hold those in positions of power accountable. The migration crisis has been on our screens, on our minds, and for me, it has been personal. I had to leave my home and my country, and I'm in Canada now, where I was welcomed warmly as a refugee. From experience, I know that congregations and communities and individuals are doing remarkable work to respond to the needs of refugees so that they have food and other basic needs. And although the task is daunting, it is certainly pointed in the right direction. I like the idea of the prophetic voice that is shown in our work, but also in our advocacy, in what we say to put pressure on our governments and to educate everyone on those difficult issues. It's a prophetic work, and also it's interesting to note that really our resistance is in our DNA, to work hard, to shake the status quo, and to change things as much as we can. I and many others are frustrated that it doesn't go far enough because we are mostly dealing with symptoms and not necessarily with the root causes. There is a need to identify the root causes of all, our immigration crisis and try to do something about it. And I believe there is a need for the Unitarian Universalist leadership on this important frontline work, but also to inspire positive change and even revolution. This is a political process, which is not happening in many places. The massive migration in Europe is a sure case of the price we pay when we, as a society and governments, we underestimate people's desperation. We should not leave it that way. This is an important work to be done at the political level, but also the grassroots level to educate our public opinions so that they can have an impact on the political leaders. As I conclude, I want to mention an important point, important to me anyway, that the work we do is a spiritual work, and it needs to have a spiritual foundation. It is spiritual because it flows from what is right for us. And it is not tied to outcomes. Very often we lament that we do not do enough, we do not achieve enough, but probably that is not the point. If we do not see it or do the work from a place of love and faith, we will definitely be disappointed. We will be very angry. We will be we will burn out, and we will lack discipline. When I am disappointed, which happens very often when you are trying to do human rights work and really faith work, I like to go back to the wisdom of a French philosopher, Levinas Emmanuel, who defined faith as believing that love is still love even when there is no reward. Faith is believing that love without reward is valuable. And I'm still encouraged to do what I can because it is not up to me to finish the task. I'm paraphrasing Rabbi Tarfon, but I am not free to avoid the work. And once we become aware of our critical connections through Ubuntu and the Unitarian Universalist values that we all stand for, we conclude that this time is just our turn to do something about the situation which is happening, but we are in the middle of those who came before us and those who are coming after us. And we stand assured that the world will go without us, and so will our faith work. Thank you.
Stephanie, would you? Yeah, I have just a few thoughts that I want to share, and I know that I'm on a time limit here. So, pardon me if it feels like I'm jumping from thing to thing. I am. I want to say, going back to the very premise of the question, that perhaps the 21st century, the way it has been developing in our global, all of our global problems and issues, that this 21st century makes possible the need for the connection between religious freedom and justice. And I want to emphasize that. We are together and we are celebrating Torda450. I want to mention that because I want to make the premise that religious freedom models justice. Let me explain that a little bit. For a while, there was a term called religious tolerance that people used to use to talk about interfaith work. I have always found that offensive and problematic because when you just tolerate somebody, you really don't have to understand them and you don't really have to get along. So we need to go beyond just merely tolerating each other. We need to learn a variety of things. We need to learn how to listen. We need to learn how to communicate with each other. The very fact of the differences between Unitarian and Unitarian Universalists makes an ideal forum for conversation across differences. What other theologians describe is not the Unitarian Universalist position. We would be considered different in our theology. And we live in a religiously free context that's almost free at times. But here's what we learn. We learn how to put together what we do with justice and understanding what justice means. To understand religious freedom is to understand a yearning for justice. So when the Unitarians came to the United States, or the colonies, whichever one it was first, they in fact came yearning for religious freedom. When they twinned with the Universalists, they were continuing to search, to yearn for freedom. And it is in that basis that in the United States and in Canada, we have some profoundly important activists. They are not always the Martin Luther King Jr. Front people. Many of them are just quietly on the side. Dorothy and Nix. I mean, you heard of her, right? But she was important for just working to try to resolve some medical issues in the 1800s. History moment here. So religions in themselves can build some awful barriers, and one of them is found in the problem of culture. And so Ellen mentioned the idea of what happens when we put humans first, when we understand humans as first. And yet, part of the problem with that statement, okay, is that it is reflecting a Western culture. Western culture operates in the binary: good, evil, soul, body, heart, mind, whatever else, male, female. Everything is binary in this view. And in fact, we don't live, we're coming to understand that we don't live in a binary world. I told part of my own story, and I got some laughs for it. about coming to Unitarian Universalism. Was I originally Catholic? No, kind of. But at the time that I grew up, in order for people to go to Catholic schools, they had to be Catholic. My mother wanted our African American family to be successful. Magic, you're a Catholic. So what I'm saying is the connection then between how we understand who we are, even when we are separate religions, it's not necessarily clear-cut divisions among us. We are learning that more deeply, and I truly appreciate the opportunities to speak with my colleagues and to understand more about where they come from and what they do and how we need to go forward. There's more there, but I'm out of time. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to thank all the people who have presented their views before me, especially I would like to thank Diana for preparing these wonderful exposes. And I want to say that I think that our Hungarian Unitarianism also will be 100% with the basics. There is I come from a biblical background, as some of you might have already heard. I don't know, it keeps on becoming more and more important to me, it seems so. I have been thinking while I have been listening to your presentations and also to the answers given, to a part in the epistle of James that I think it would be appropriate to read here. What good is it, my brothers, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you tells him, go in peace, stay warm, well fed, but does not provide for his physical needs, what good is that? So too, faith by itself, if it is not completed by action, is dead. I think that is an important point to make, and basically, I think it summarizes what has been said about faith and action, that these two things, as Ellen has quite clearly demonstrated, are linked together. But when we started off in this dialogue moments, we decided that we should polarize a little bit things. And I will love polarizing things. So I will take up the aspect of being the advocate of the devil for a little while here. And I would like to present the question of, we have heard, and I couldn't agree more with what has been said about the prophetic and heroic stance here for justice and for what is true and freedom. I agree totally. But sometimes when listening to these moments, when we passionately talk about this kind of prophetic stances, I have my doubts that this prophetic stance is the only possible thing that should be done. I believe that the motto of Hungarian Unitarianism, which is be gentle as a dove and wise as a serpent, which appears on the coat of arms of the Unitarian Church, is something that should be taken into consideration. A world made up only by prophets is a world that is impossible even to comprehend. For the world to move on next to the prophets, who are lone people, ready to sacrifice their own existence even if that is necessary, there are others, mothers and fathers who need to raise their children. There are people who are very important parts in the function of a society and who cannot afford themselves to just throw their life and existence away for justice. I would like to bring to the table the idea of compromise, which I think that in the discussion that we are having, even if it's not a fundamental question, needs to be presented and needs to be here. But sometimes, and I come from a community that has been for 60 years under communism and for 300 years under oppression. So we have learned it the hard way. sometimes compromise needs to be made in order for a higher good to be achieved. What am I talking about? I am talking about two people who, among one is considered a martyr, another is considered a traitor. The martyr is Francis Bacon, the founder of the Unitarians, and the traitor is Giorgio Bianca, the actual founder of the Unitarians, the one who brought Unitarianism to Transylvania, even if the depth of theological inquiry and knowledge did not come from him, but came from others like Francis Bacon. But Giorgio Bianca did what his role in getting Francis Bacon into prison is real. He was a very important figure in imprisoning Francis Bacon, but his motives are not the ones presented by Romanticism. He was not an evil person trying to kill off the one that was talking about the truth. He was a person who was aware of the possibility of this young community to vanish because of the far-flung ideas of the martyr mission. Another thing that, and another example I would like, which also speaks about this, is our late bishop of the 20th century, Jan. Some of you might have known him. He was a crucial figure in the 20th century history of Unitarianism, locked away after 1956 for several years, and he should be known better than he is. At some point, to save his ministers, he actually had to become an informant for the secret police in Romania. But what was his motives? His motives were to save his ministers, to save his church. He made a compromise. Was he right doing so, giving away his own purity in order to save others? Or was it morally wrong to accept to tell anything, even the slightest unusable information to the secret police? I think those are, although it's not about the fundamentals of our moral actions, but as compromise, I think that should be put to the table as well.
Okay, well, I have a few questions, but I'll offer Ellen and Ruhaya first a chance to speak to what Phil Johnson and Stephanie and Maureen have said.
Okay, especially when listening to Stephanie, talking about Unitarian Universalist free theological context, it really makes me wondering, because I come from this biblical tradition, so our stances are divine and clear-cut. And when you mention that your theological context is free, so what is actually your theological basis for social justice or resistance? If I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, then you are against the perspective of a binary world. Is it so? Maybe you can correct this if I'm wrong, if it's not correct, it's correct. When between good and evil is not clear, do you mean that it's obscure? So when you, like in the issues of immigrants or refugees, and then you say that you campaign for open border, how do you know that that's a good thing and not the evil one? Or are you open to opinions that people may not campaign for that because there is no clear-cut position? Is everything open, no clear-cut? In other words, obscure. That's my question.
Okay, Stephanie, you want to answer that, and then we'll try to jump in.
Is this my 4-hour lecture?
Not sure we have quite that much time, but.
The issue of binary comes from the West. This idea of divisiveness. So it is a very Western concept. This was pointed out to me by a Muslim scholar who said he actually studies, Dr. Ware actually studies Islam in Africa. And he talks about the idea that they understand themselves very differently as Muslims and what it means. And so he said part of what is based in that, this compression thing doesn't always work well for me. Okay, so what he said was, in the West, we think of epistemology, what I know, ontology, my being, that whole question of being, and the third is cosmology, the universe. He said, what is left out of that? The heart and the gut. And so people who operate in other cultural contexts, from African diasporan contexts, from, let me stick with those, that's my area of expertise. We don't operate that way. I've talked with older ladies who will consider this idea of body and soul as insulting, because we're more than that. So what then does it mean to talk about somebody from an indigenous religious tradition who thinks of the earth as sacred, who thinks of finding herbs to live, all of those things? There is wisdom in that. There is wisdom in those ways. From our Western perspective, what happened was a creation of an idea of religion that excluded everything that didn't fit in with a divinity, and then all of the trappings that go along with it. So what happens if you are Native American and your religion isn't all hung up in a divinity, but you're talking about Mother Earth and Father Sky? Well, according to a Western binary perspective, that group of people is just primitive and stupid. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, I know you, I'm not saying you agree with that, okay? I'm just saying that for a long time it was taught in religious studies courses that any religion like that is primitive. And to be, and we aren't out of that yet. That you may be, we are, but we're Unitarian and Unitarian Universalists, so we don't have that for the most part. So this is where the idea of the binary comes in. It's really fighting against that idea. And I know how to operate in the world. And I have to deal with these types of things. You have some other questions that I really want to let us continue the dialogue, because in fact, this is a much longer conversation than I can do reading this.
Yeah.
Yes, you may.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So this, I think this is a very important thing that should be stated here, because usually when we compare, the Christian or Western, let's call it, no matter how we want to call it, and the other, which is always the better in this context, we always suppose and start off from the point of maybe late 19th century theology and history of theology, when indeed we know the open or what's the name of that, and all these works of religious study have appeared, which indeed looked at all other cultures except maybe the British Christian culture, to be more precise, because that was what was about. And if the Germans wrote it, then it was the Germans that were the best. So it's always the actual European country. And everyone else was considered primitive. The Germans considered the French primitive. They considered the Brits were very primitive, and it was the same from every aspect. But that's over, and it's long gone. So I don't think that presenting any idea of Christianity, obviously I'm not talking about this very square, very fundamentalist, and to be honest, and I think this is where the term really should be used, primitive fundamentalist of some Christians. But to say that that is Christianity, and that is the Christian perspective, in 2018, I think that is just not wrong, that's not true. And I think Christianity is a religion which in its essence, and we always should look at essence, we should not see the bishop riding on his horse to kill off Muslims as Christianity. You have to see, because Christianity is the essence, first of all, and human society is the right or wrong manifestation of that essence. Christianity in its essence is teaching a universalism of love, which is basically, I think, extremely important for any of us sitting here.
Okay, I can't let this go. See, that's still, okay, it's got to go back farther than that. And I wasn't going back this far, but you brought it up. The whole idea of the Greco-Roman tradition, that idea of essences, in fact, comes from, is adapted from a Platonic concept. So, okay, is this okay? And the idea that we also have to add in the 1700s, when this whole thing got messed up with rationalization, rationalism, the age of reason, and the idea of I think, therefore I am. So there are a variety of ways that we've gotten to the point where Christianity has been totally beaten up by the fundamentalists who have co-opted, in the United States especially, have co-opted a lot of terms that, for example, choose life. As soon as people hear that, they think they're going to an anti-abortion program. But that's not where the term came from. It is a biblical term, but it's been co-opted into a political, socio-political usage. So that's part of why I was trying to introduce that term of culture. I didn't want to say nationalism, but I think there's a cultural dimension. So we need to also understand the cultural dimensions that go into this. I need to stop.
Okay. You've been quiet for a bit, so I'll give you a chance.
Actually, I'm very confused about that.
Please share your confusion. Some of us might be
So, now I'm confused about my identity, whether
a moment, a crisis of faith right here.
because back there in my hometown, the mainstream Christians do not consider Christians. And so that is what we are left with, minority. In fact, when we organized interfaith relationship, we have the interfaith only for the indigenous, some of the Muslims, and some of those Christian fellowships were out of the mainstream, so they just come as. So what I feel is that is the essence of Christianity isn't the divinity of Jesus the essence of Christianity? That is my question. I mean, what Norby is saying that Christianity is what. So if we deny the essence of the divinity of Christ, are we still Christians?
Wow.
Yes.
Please.
Yes, we are, because Christianity in a narrower form can be defined as the people who believe in the divinity of Christ. But then the people born and living before 325, the moment when the divinity of Christ was presented as God at Nicaea, the people before that, and you have to see Jesus here as well, are not going to be considered Christians. So that is why, and I don't know if there is such a thing, but if there is not, then I hope that this is a cry for help for a scholar, a really enlightened mind, to finally write a book which will trace the history of Christianity, not from the perspective of the winners, of the political and, I don't know what political I think is the best term, winners, but from the perspective of the oppressed people, the Nazarenes and the Ebionites and the Arians. I'm talking about the ones who were regarded as bishop, not the other kind of Arians, and with all the others that were very strong at some point and made very clear points, even clearer than the dogmas of the winners, but who were just burned at stake. So I think that we should write, and it's up to us because nobody else will write this book. So it's up to this side of Christianity to do that, to write a book and to present that this is not a very homogeneous idea that you start from the Bible and come to say in Constantinople, and then from bam, you're in Rome, and then there's Luke Martin Luther, and Vatican II, and everyone is happy. So this is not such a harmonious history. There are many others. So yes, Christianity is built on the very clear teaching of Jesus to love your God and to love your fellow human beings. It's the teaching and the example that is important.
Well, I'm sorry if I'm slow thinking, but I feel like I haven't got a clear answer from Stephanie about the question that I posed before. So she mentioned that binary comes from the Western mind. Well, I'm not really sure about that because the concept, I believe the good and evil is categorically inherent in our mind. And also the tradition of Bible dates back before the Western call binary good or evil. And even though if the claim is right that binary comes from the West and it should be challenged, so my question is resistance also an idea of the West? So if you say you resist, then you must resist against something. What do you resist against? Is it goodness that you resist? Have you ever resisted goodness? Or is it evil that you resist? Therefore, if Stephanie mentioned that the UUs have outgrown the binary thinking, I don't know whether this is right, or if I use other word, maybe you say that you refuse the category of good and evil, then what now is the basis of resistance that is used by the UU theology? If there is no such good and evil, so what do you resist against? That's my question.
Okay. And I'm just going to check in with Fulgence to see where he's at.
It's interesting to hear, to listen to the discussion of Unitarian all of a sudden very interested in Christianity, but I think the reality is more complex, and it's definitely not one or the other. It's somehow both, and the idea of Christianity, I think, has gone even far to, depending on the context, actually speak or talk of Christianities, depending where you are, whether you are from one perspective from it's an Italian perspective or from a different perspective, you end up having more than one Christianity. And to me, that's a point. But there is one important aspect to note is that the essence of Christianity, or whatever we want to be talking about, is wrapped in, unfortunately, I would say, in a dominant culture. And the dominant culture influences many things. The school we attend, the books we read, the theories we learn about, and all those things influence, in my sense, how we understand Christianity, we live it, and how we ultimately we talk about that, and that's what is happening now.
Thank you. Do you want to answer? Because I could also ask a different question if you want to be on there.
I want to use a symbol, and it's, you know, a Chinese symbol, yin and yang. It's not one is all and the other is all, but there's a seed of each in the other. And I think that's the complexity that we have to deal with a lot of times. It is not a matter of outgrowing the binary. We still live in a world where people want to say good, evil, rich, poor, bad, something. We still live there, but that doesn't mean we have to accept it. And I have to be a smart aleck on this one. The word resist, that's a woman thing.
A woman thing.
A woman thing.
It's a woman thing.
Women. Okay. Especially in the United States.
That's another cultural thing. That's a specific cultural reference, which we don't actually have time for. So,
Not at all.
There is a question here that and that is the basis of American Unitarian Universalist action, moral action. So I understand binary, I get it, fine. But then what is the basis of the UU moral action? And I don't want to refer to it, but if someone has a point to be made here, I think that would be important because I think that there is a visible on the large picture agreement about a couple of issues between some of us. And Stephanie has made clear that the UU side would not agree totally with what has been said. Yes. But we should point out what that disagreement and what that otherness would be, because I think we can take this discussion on from there.
So if there are different streams flowing into one river, as the river goes forward, it appears to be one, but in fact, it came from many different streams. So if there are people within my own congregation who understand themselves as Jewish, and there are other people in my congregation who understand themselves as Wiccan, and there are people in my congregation who understand themselves as atheists, and there are people in my congregation who do understand themselves as Christian. That flows together to become this idea of how we go forward together. And so it is not to say that I can name, okay, Sarah, can you name the 6 sources?
Not like putting me on the spot. I can probably name several. But this isn't about me.
Do it. Say it. Yeah. repeat it so it can go on this direct.
Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life.
And that still doesn't feel like an answer, does it? See, so it's this direct experience. Let me repeat it because this is going out over broadcast. Thank you, Allison. Thank you.
I'm gonna ask you to like
Really shorten it.
fine tune where you're headed.
Sources, direct experience of transcendent mystery and wonder, affirmed in all culture, words and deeds of prophetic women and men, wisdom from the world's religions, which inspire us, Jewish and Christian teachings, which call us to respond to God's love, and humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason. I don't know why I couldn't remember.
Well, the Unitarians are kind of wordy.
Yeah.
So Norby, you still have that look, and I'm guessing maybe and Rupaya goes on sort of in the same that's not an answer to your question.
So no, I wouldn't like to take this discussion into a side that there is a plurality of answers, and yours is one, there are many, because but that's just escaping.
Right.
That's a
That's
very good technique of getting out from answering the question. But I do understand what it is here, and I do understand that Unitarian Universalism acknowledges all these sources of faith. It's very good, but we're talking about the source of moral action, right? Moral action. And while in the biblical situation it is very clearly stipulated, I think Ellen presented it in a very logical manner, and the main points are stable for that. The thing that is not stable, at least for me, maybe I'm wrong, and somebody else is clear for everybody, is indeed what makes the fundament then, not one single one, but an amalgam of fundaments for moral action in Unitarian Universalism.
I can answer that. Okay, but I'm not going to. So that's your question can you answer?
Well, I have received an answer, and I think that that is good. And I think that that is a point that we can go on further. And that answer is love. So
Okay. Okay, so we're actually wrapping ourselves up. So I will give each of you like 30 seconds for a last statement. Yes. See, this is what happens. This hour and a half goes by really quick.
I pass.
Okay.
I've said too much.
Ellen, go for it. You have, yes, a closing phrase or question, because it could be the question you still wrestle with.
As much as I listen to what Stephanie says and the answer that comes from the audience that love is the basis of moral action, and I'm still wondering what love that is, what love is. I get this impression, I may be wrong, I might be right, that the UU is more moral action from feelings, from human reasonings, human feelings, human experience. And that's exactly the point that I mentioned in the beginning of my speech, that human reasoning, human experience, human feelings are precarious to mistakes. Just like we have read how from there define the African American or the African people. Therefore, I will be really happy to listen more, because Sarah said that she also knows the answers. I think that the audience also have answers for that actually I really want to listen to, because I'm really curious about that. So how will you base your moral action upon? Is it something that is unshakable, or is it something that precarious to mistakes? that's really something I really like to do.
Excellent. Refine your last words.
Okay.
Well, okay, for today. Let's clarify. Your last thoughts for today.
Before I came here, there was a debate or opinion in my place whether we are, what is our identity? So in the question of our identity, whether we are Christians or not, in fact, I came up with a strong answer saying that we are Unitarian Universalists. And that is enough. It's no more Christian, no more. But after listening to Norway, now he says that we are still belonging to the Christians. There's a little bit of confusion. But then I think it's still fluid, so I think the discussion will be still on. In the sense that if, because back in my place, the history is that there was a point in time where we have to do away with the Bible as a scripture. And as human beings, I think for that moral stand, so we need certain kind of authority for the congregation. So that is what certain things like they have to, in order to be too free and do not have authority, it will be slightly difficult in the way in which we have, like, we can say some form of authority that we can. So these are the sources. So far, sometimes I used to feel that perhaps our church back there, though in those days, there is a lot of things which come from the heart. Most of the things basically from the heart, and most of that traditional culture of which we have customs, that is what which sustains us. But now in this modern world, when those teachings were, I visited the book to Sarah, saying that all around the earth, we customs, we present our culture through that, and that is slowly dying out. So we really need to have certain other sources, to define certain sources from which we get.
Thank you. Fulgence, does he have some last thoughts for the day?
It's a fact that Unitarian and Unitarian Universalists are a diverse group with diverse opinions and ideas on different things. But for the faith to be relevant to the world and to ourselves, to embrace it, there is a need to develop critical connections that allow us to be, yes, active and do things in the world in the way that change the world for the better. And I want to acknowledge that although people do not hold the same convictions and ideas, there is another level where there is some basic fundamental principles that we all espouse and that help us to be relevant to the world. And my encouragement to everyone and to myself is to use those common principles that we all can identify with to be able to impact the world in a positive way. And why not hold the difference, the diversity, and show the world that there is a way for people to hold different views on different things and still impact the world in a positive way. And I'm glad the panel is saying that.
Thank you. Nor do you have final words for today?
I'm quite happy, let me say that first, because we're finally getting into what we should be doing, having a deep conversation, even if we don't have time to get to the bottom of different questions. But I think that it is more important to raise the awareness of different questions and that our minds work on and chew on it. I don't think that you should not misunderstand me. I'm not a avid Christian. Christianity does not mean anything to me more than the tradition. But what I am is someone who will draw my sources for my truth from tradition that is biblical and that has been fundamental for the culture that I come from. And if it walks like a Christian and talks like a Christian, then it probably is a Christian. And my perspective of Unitarianism is that whatever form it has, it usually walks like a Christian and talks like a Christian. A good Christian.
And we do have time. We have the rest of the year with the five of you, and many more times for us to witness their conversation and their questions to each other and the challenges that they will bring. So do keep an eye on the Torda450.org website, where the videos will be posted, as well as the reflection modules after each one, so that you can be part of continuing this conversation. And this is getting juicy, so I can't wait to see what happens next. So thanks to everyone, and for Fulgence who joined us via Zoom. Thank you for your patience with technology, and thank you to all of you in your